This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 13th day of March in the year 2023. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Under pressure from family and friends of the missing miner and community leaders, the Chinese-owned Bauxite Bauxite Mining Company in Linden suspended all operations today to step up searches for the miner. The miner Neptune Hercules has been missing since early Saturday morning when he was sucked underground by quicksand along with the bulldozer he was operating at the mines. Hercules worked in the bauxite industry for more than 4 decades and was months away from his retirement. Family members have been protesting at the main office of the bauxite company over the past 2 days, seeking additional information and calling for additional measures to be taken to aid the search efforts.
There's still more questions than answers. What happened to Mr. Hercules? When it happened? Why it happened? Those questions must be answered. We are not satisfied that we're getting all the answers that are necessary. We are about to go to the mines where we will do further recording and we will let the world know, let the world see exactly what is transpiring. Because this company must be able to answer. As his family members, we are asking what exactly transpired. Was Mr. Hercules being supervised? Was he working with colleagues? Was there a foreman on duty? Did anyone see exactly what happened? Did they see exactly where the bulldozer fell? Did they see when this incident happened? What reports were made? What steps were taken at what time to retrieve Mr. Hercules and the bulldozer? And therefore, we're asking those questions because we're seeking to prevent another incident like this to occur.
There has been no trace of the man or the heavy-duty equipment since the early Saturday morning incident. It is suspected that he was working alone in the area and might have only been discovered missing hours after the earth let loose and he was completely covered along with the machinery. Search efforts were suspended twice over the weekend, owing to poor lighting of the area. Miners who work in the area have told news sources that it could take days before the man's body or the equipment could be located and recovered because of the depth of the area where the collapse of the soil took place. Prime Minister Mark Phillips and Works Minister Juan Edgell visited the scene where the search efforts are ongoing this morning. It was during their visit that it was announced that all of the operations of the company were being suspended to assist with the searches.
The assurances that they have given us is that they're going to do everything that is humanly possible to make sure we get through this. Minister Hamilton, who is the Minister of Labour that is responsible for occupational health and safety, they have an active investigation that is going on so as to verify what happened, to ensure there is no foul play or whatever the issue is. That's standard and statutory. So the Ministry of Labour, Occupational Health and Safety Department is there. And the Geology and Mines Commission, which is the oversight body to deal with all people who are involved in mining, have been rendering the necessary technical advice. Minister Vikram Bharat, I think he will visit sometime today, but the TGMC has been here on ground. I don't think any of us could rest and feel comfortable and to have closure unless we get to where this matter really occurred and be able to find out why.
We're here on a fact-finding mission, right? Because we want to be informed as to what transpired here. But you, the family members, are here. We want to take this opportunity, right, to assure you that what is being done here is still a search and rescue mission, okay? And the work will go on until we locate the equipment and your dad, okay? We will not give up until that is located, okay? The reason why they didn't work last night is because the advice of the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, right, and advise them not to do any work during the night from a safety concern. Okay?
The Guyana Georgian Mines Commission has dispatched specialized equipment to assist with the search efforts, but all of those working at the site of the tragedy are being extra cautious because of the loose soil in the mining area. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Labour has announced that it will also be conducting a full investigation of the tragic incident. In a statement, Minister of Labour Joe Hamilton said the current search operations will also be closely monitored by the Labour Ministry.
And they're searching and they're consulting. So as data come in, they sit down, the technical officers, and they try to map the best way forward, how to move forward based on everything that is happening at the site itself. So there are two things that are happening. Consultation among the technical people based on the review of the site and all that has happened so far.
In a statement on Sunday, the Bauxite Bauxite Company said all efforts are being made to locate the missing miner and equipment. There are serious questions being asked about the company's search and rescue policies as well as its safety practices in the mining areas. More news coming up in a moment.
It's been a long time coming. Overdue, some might say. But now that it's here, it will change life forever. And it is here to stay. The future is now. Transforming Guyana into the 21st century. Introducing GTT Fiber. Experience internet connectivity like never before. Speeds you deserve at prices you can afford from a name you can trust. Sign up today. GTT Fiber is here. GTT. Together, we rise faster.
At Giftland Office Max, we're all about customer satisfaction. Whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance, we're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
Did you know that you can check your NIS contributions online? Simply visit our website at www.nis.org.gy. Click on the Create New Account button and enter the required information. An automatic email notification will be sent to acknowledge your application. Once your information is authenticated, you will receive an email within 48 hours with instructions on how to access the site. Once logged in, you can click on the My Contributions tab on the left side of the screen to view your contributions. For further information, you can call our Records Department on 225-2798 or visit your nearest NIS office.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Strong and solid in countries far and wide. New India Assurance, we're standing by your side. Golden service, half a century and more. New India Assurance, our policies are secure. From the heart of India, we serve these islands. The strength that you can trust, you're safe when you come to us.
New India Assurance Company. Assurance when you need it most.
For your home, motor or business insurance, visit New India Guyana office, 58 Brickdam next to Star Computers. Telephone 2260-415-7. Comfortable parking available.
Welcome back. Special Advisor to the U.S. Vice President on the Western Hemisphere, Joseph Salazar, and the Deputy Director for the Western Hemisphere's Department in the Office of Caribbean Affairs of the U.S. government, Michael Taylor, began a short visit to Guyana this morning and met and held discussions with President Irfaan Ali and the high-level government team. In a statement after the meeting, the President's office said the meeting discussed food, energy, and climate security, as well as Guyana's low-carbon development strategy. Discussions also focused on the government's commitment to democracy and strengthening bilateral relations between Guyana and the U.S. The two visiting U.S. officials were also expected to meet with business leaders and key stakeholders to discuss several topics of mutual interest, including the U.S. Caribbean Partnership to address the climate crisis 2030. The U.S. Embassy said discussions will also help on other areas of mutual interest, including food security and that climate crisis initiative. In June of last year, the U.S. Vice President launched PAC 2030, and since then, the U.S. has been working with Caribbean nations to develop wide-ranging long-term energy security and climate resilient solutions. Additionally, coming out of the Summit of the Americas last year, the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris met with 6 Caribbean leaders, including President Ali, to build on the U.S. partnership with Caribbean governments. The government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, today signed a $1.3 billion contract with General Engineering Supplies and Services for the execution of a Guyana flood risk management project on the east coast of the Demerara. In his remarks during the signing ceremony, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa said though the project spans from Ogle to Liliendal, it will significantly reduce flooding along the east coast of the Demerara. Noting that the government is cognizant of the damaging effects of floods, Minister Mustafa said the project is in direct response to the major floods that rocked the nation in 2005 and 2021.
So as a government, we are very cognizant of the fact that we have to improve our drainage system over the years, and we have been doing that. And you know for a fact both His Excellency the President and the Vice President have been talking about the improvement in our D&I system. I'm happy to say that over the last 2.5 years, we have seen a number of pump stations, new pumps, canals, cokers, sluices, and other areas that have been rehabilitated. And as we are improving the D&I aspect, the drainage and irrigation aspect, the flood risk management aspect of our country, we are seeing more and more development, especially in the agriculture sector.
The project, which in part will see the construction of a new pump station at Liliendal on the east coast of the Demerara, is receiving technical support from the World Bank. World Bank country representative Diletta Deretti said the project is critical to the alleviation of flooding on the east coast of the Demerara.
Through this signing to this contract, the government of Guyana, through the Ministry of Agriculture, will focus on the rehabilitation of the Ogle and Liliendal drainage catchment areas. In particular, on the upgrading of the pumping station at Liliendal and introduction and renovation of the sluice gates at Ogle.
In addition to the $1.3 billion project, the government also signed a number of smaller contracts amounting to over $700 million for repairs to the Lamaha Canal, the construction of a laboratory for the Guyana Food Safety Authority at LPI, and for the procurement of 100 tunnel houses as part of the government's Youth Entrepreneurial Innovation Project. An off-duty police officer in Linden remains in a critical condition after he was shot by one of his cousins, who was a young businessman in the same town. The shooting incident took place last night during a row at a hangout spot in Amelia's ward in Linden. The 32-year-old police sergeant, Jermaine Semple, was shot to the back of the head at close range. He remains on life support at the Linden Hospital. He's unlikely to make a recovery, according to health officials. His assailant, businessman and contractor Fawaz McRae, was taken to the same hospital last night with injuries, but he was released and is now in the custody of the police. A report said a policeman and one of his brothers were involved in a confrontation at a hangout spot, and the businessman, who was their cousin, got involved. After the businessman reportedly got into a scuffle with the policeman, he pulled out his firearm as the officer turned away from him and fired 2 shots. One of those shots hit the policeman to the back of the head. He collapsed and had to be rushed to the hospital by persons who were nearby. The businessman was taken to the same hospital and treated for his injuries. Today, senior members of the Guyana Police Force and other colleagues of the police officer, including some of his family and friends, gathered at his bedside. News source understands that family members will have to make the final decision as to when life support will be removed. An investigation has been launched into the shooting incident. Prime Minister Mark Phillips has responded to statements made by Opposition Member of Parliament David Paterson about the state of the Guyana Power and Light Company. At a press conference last Friday, Mr. Paterson disclosed that he is of the view that the frequent power outages being experienced is due to maintenance works and other challenges facing the power company. But in a statement on Sunday, Prime Minister Mark Phillips cited an increase in vehicle accidents involving utility poles as one of the main reasons behind the increase in power outages. The Prime Minister explained that when vehicles collide with those structures, the power flow is disturbed above the prescribed limit, thus activating the protection systems on the grid to prevent further damage to the network and generating assets. He said in some instances, the problem can result in widespread outages. The Prime Minister also said there has been an increased number of vehicular collisions with primary GPL structures, and the government will shortly commence the installation of bollards around to identify those critical structures. Prime Minister Phillips said GPL procures significant quantities of network components, including transformers, conductors, fuses, and switches, to ensure that planned and emergency maintenance works are efficiently executed at a significant cost, brushing aside claims that the company is procuring cheap substandard equipment. The Prime Minister said the company is still recovering from the period of what he called gross misdirection and the absence of a clear policy direction under the former APNU AFC government.
You taste the cheese, you hear the crunch. Grab a zoomers and zoom into fun. And with the first taste, you feel like you don't want it done. Blast off to a whole new place with every single bite. The cheesy goodness bring your taste buds alive. So let's just zoom into fun with this wheel-shaped light. Zoomers, zoomers, zoom into fun.
Guyana, ride into the future with the next generation eco-friendly Axiom installed elevators and escalators. Call us today on telephone number 619-0899 or 648-0934. Email us at axiomliftsgy@gmail.com for affordable elevators, escalators, moving walks, industrial lifts, home solutions, modernization, repair, and servicing. Axiom Elevator Services, technology for people on the move.
Traits Management, Structure, and Cashmere Rosé presents Sundress Soiree, Champagne and Cocktail Event, Saturday, April 8th at Everest Cricket Ground. Contribution $8,000. This is a day into night event. Doors open from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. Free. Cocktail hour, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sundress Soiree. You know the vibes.
Let's tell you now that as part of its mandate to assist the poor and vulnerable, the Men on a Mission group, which is the brainchild of President Irfan Ali, plans to use a percentage of its $500 million government subvention to construct a minimum of 50 homes, even as it works to address the sore issues of gender-based violence and unemployment within the society. Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force and Chairman of Men on a Mission, Brigadier Godfrey Best, made that disclosure today as he unveiled the mission's plans for this year during a press conference. According to the Chief of Staff, the plan to construct a minimum of 50 homes is in keeping with the instructions of President Finale, who met with the group last evening to discuss and approve the plan. The homes, he said, will go towards the vulnerable, the elderly, single parents and persons with disabilities, and persons who are victims of natural disasters. However, Brigadier Best was keen on noting that established criteria will guide the selection process to ensure that the most vulnerable within the society benefit from the construction of the homes.
We request that as much as possible that a formal request is made through the Chief of Staff, Commissioner of Police, Regional Chairman, or any member of the national committees. If they're asking for homes to be built, we ask for a proof of ownership for the land the person is living on, also birth certificate, and at least one other form of identification. We ask for them to, if they have an existing building and it's not, if it's in a deplorable state, we ask for photograph, internal and external. We ask for recommendations from persons within the communities.
Already for this year, the mission has received 70 applications for housing solutions. 26 of those have been categorized as essential. The others are grouped as important and desirable. The mission in 2022 constructed more than 40 homes. However, amid concerns over the disparities in costs and designs, the mission will be moving to design a model. The cost per unit, however, has not been determined as yet.
The National Committee, we've established a subcommittee that work on that. We actually have an idea of what we're looking for, but has not yet been approved by our committee. As soon as that is approved, we'll make it available to the public. But we see the need and the importance of having a designed structure for these homes.
And weighing in on the issue, Men on a Mission communications specialist Alex Graham said since the launch last October, the mission has received tremendous support, particularly from the private sector. However, at the time it lacked structure.
And that help was needed and received long before all of the structures were really ready. So that different individuals and companies and supporters provided different kinds of solutions. And that's why in the initial rollout, you might see housing solutions that differ significantly. The differences are really due to the overwhelming support that was spontaneous across the board in the country.
Both the Chief of Staff and Mr. Graham assured that steps are being taken to ensure equity not only in distribution of the houses, but with regards to their quality and durability. The Men on a Missions program for this year will focus on 5 key areas: male behavioral change through character building, men's health, environmental transformation, capacity building for emergency relief efforts, and rehabilitation. In keeping with the focus of the group, MOM will also continue to work with men and boys across the country to address the underlying issues affecting men in an effort to bring about lasting change.
Under this area of focus, MOM will mount a series of sessions called Stages of Hope. On the Stages of Hope across the country, various influential personalities in areas such as sports, entertainment, academia, medicine, religion, to name some, will be speaking to men and boys in the communities about how to navigate the rocky waters of life, how to effectively conflict resolutions, provide career guidance while fostering that much needed male responsibility.
Under the program also, men will be exposed to a series of health-related services, even as they pay keen attention to their environment. The mission will also provide emergency relief to persons affected by natural disasters and rehabilitate and construct shelters as the need arises. Over the weekend, President Irfan Ali condemned what he described as the racist remarks aimed at fueling terrorism in Guyana, which he said were made by WPA executive member Takuma Ogunse during a public meeting in Buxton last Thursday. During that WPA meeting, Ogunse spoke about the current plight of the poor in Guyana and Afro-Guyanese under the current government. He also accused the Pacific administration of using the joint services in the past to execute Africans. But Ogunse's remarks about turning the guns in the right direction has caught the attention of President Ali.
Do we understand the implication of this statement? I'm very proud of the men and women in our joint services. And I know they're sane people. I know they're right-thinking people. But who would tolerate this? Which family in Guyana can tolerate this?
And the president also chided the opposition leader Aubrey Norton for speaking at the same public meeting and failing to condemn the words of the WPA executive.
Every single time the People's Progressive Party, Civics and Government, we have to deal with these type of utterances. What did he mean by any time we turn those guns in the right direction, it is over? Your president would stand up every single day for what is right, would stand up every single day in support of democracy, in support of unity, in support of development. So all the guns that he's talking about, let him turn it to me. Because no gun or bullet would stop us on this path of unifying our people, on this path of developing our country, on this path of uplifting the lives of our people.
The president said the entire country should be concerned about the remarks and should condemn those remarks in the strongest possible terms, noting that there is no place in Guyana for such utterances. Well, in two separate statements, the main private sector agencies in the country slammed the Working People's Alliance and its senior official Takuma Ogunse over statements that he made at a public meeting in Buxton. In its statement, the Private Sector Commission described the statements by the longtime politician as an undisguised, deliberate and ugly attempt to promote insurrection against the elected government of the day. The Private Sector Commission described the statement as another attempt by the Working People's Alliance to pursue and advocate what they called racial confrontation and conflict. The PSC said the statement was utterly irresponsible and completely reckless and must be rejected out of hand by every citizen in the country. The private sector body also said it fully and unreservedly supports the condemnation of the statement by the President and the Attorney General. In its statement, the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry said it has absolutely no tolerance for any agent or agency desirous of inciting racial tensions, hostility, or ill will against any person of a specific gender, class, or race. According to the GCCI, it is disheartening and appalling to see what it called a fossilized way of thinking being resurrected and urgings in the direction of sowing havoc. Opposition Member of Parliament and former General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Gita Chandan-Edman, has joined several of her party colleagues, including MP Ganesh Mahipal, Natasha Singh Lewis, Region 4 Chairman Daniel Siram, and the Mayor of Georgetown, Ubraj Narain, in condemning certain remarks which were made at a public meeting hosted by the WPA last Thursday. WPA executive member Takuma Ogunse and another member Rhonda Lane have been coming in for harsh criticism over their statements, which have been observed as racially divisive and to be inciting violence. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton, who was also on the platform, has also been criticized for not denouncing the statements that were made. The PNC Reform has also not issued a statement on the matter, although it continues to be named as a party to the utterances. In a statement to the media, Ms. Chandan-Edman said the statements made at the WPA meeting were hostile and can create further tension in an already tense environment. She said some of the speakers communicated sentiments which must be strongly condemned, since those sentiments could lead to public disorder. For their part, the other four party officials said they were disappointed in the remarks made at the public meeting of the WPA, saying that it was highly offensive to East Indian Guyanese. The party officials also expressed their disappointment that none of the other speakers at the meeting denounced the statements, and they have since issued a call for political leaders to speak out against all forms of bigotry and discrimination in Guyana. Despite the criticism, the Working People's Alliance has indicated it is standing with its member Takuma Ugunse, who has been coming in for criticism over those statements that he made at the rally. In a statement, the WPA said it stands in solidarity with its long-standing member Takuma Ugunse, who has come under attack by the Attorney General, ostensibly for statements made at the WPA meeting in Buxton. The WPA said Mr. Nanlal's accusation of racism against Ugunse is laughable, saying that the AG belongs to a party and government that have waged political and economic war against the African Guyanese community since coming to power in August of 2020. The WPA said Mr. Nanlal's declaration that his statements by Ugunse cannot be proven demonstrates how tone-deaf and racially insensitive the PP is. Further, the party said the call by the Attorney General for law enforcement to review Mr. Ugunse's statement and take action where necessary also demonstrates that the government is bent on using the police to settle political scores. The party was also not happy with a statement issued by the chairman of the Joint Services denouncing the utterances of its party official. The WPA said the fact that the chairman's statement makes reference to inciting racial tensions contradicts his claim of political impartiality. The WPA said the chairman of the Joint Services, in his capacity as the head of a state institution, is making a value judgment of comments made by a political activist. And if that is not political, the WPA wonders what exactly is.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Buster, win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guyana's Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
Across the region tonight, at least 6 people have died in Peru over the last few days as a powerful cyclone unleashed torrential rains, battering hundreds of homes and causing major disruptions in northern areas of the Latin American country, the authorities have indicated. The government in Peru has declared a state of emergency as it seeks to bring relief to regions of Peru hard hit by the cyclone known as Yaku, which include a number of communities. On Friday, the National Institute of Civil Defense said the flooding caused by the cyclone had claimed a number of lives. Peru has been faced by instability and anti-government protests over the past few months since Congress removed the former President Pedro Castillo from power in December. Honduran President Xiomara Castro has overturned a 13-year ban on the emergency contraceptive pill. The country's first ever woman leader said she had made the change by executive order for International Women's Day, which was observed on the 8th of March. The morning after pill was part of women's reproductive rights and not abortive, she said on social media. President Castro, who took office in 2022, has promised to relax Honduras's restrictive reproductive rights laws. She said she was signing the executive order for the universal use of the morning after pill. She added that the World Health Organization determined it is part of women's reproductive rights and not abortive. Honduras, a largely Catholic Central American country, banned the use of the morning after pill following a coup in 2009 that ousted Xiomara Castro's husband, the then President Manuel Zelaya. And finally tonight, international news. U.S. President Joe Biden today said the U.S. will do whatever is needed to shore up banks after a string of failures raised fears about financial stability in the country. His comments came after the U.S. guaranteed all deposits at Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, which both collapsed last week. The U.S. is trying to stop people taking out funds from the banks after SVB collapsed amid a rush of withdrawals. Americans should rest assured that the banking system is safe, the U.S. president said. People and businesses who have money deposited with SVB, the country's 16th largest bank, would be able to access all of their cash from Monday, he said. Taxpayers will not bear any losses from the move, which extends protection beyond the $250,000 in deposits typically insured by the government. The cost will instead be funded by fees regulators charge to the commercial banks. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.